Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Julio Capó, and let's queer up trans rights. Supreme Court greenlights Trump's trans military ban. The U.S. Supreme Court has just delivered a crushing blow to transgender Americans serving in the military. In a 6-3 decision issued Tuesday, the court granted the Trump administration's request to immediately enforce its sweeping ban on transgender military service. The unsigned order allows the Pentagon to begin discharging service members with a diagnosis or history of gender dysphoria and block future enlistments. This decision follows Executive Order 14183, pushed forward by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The order expels all transgender service members, regardless of their record or performance. It also stays a previous nationwide injunction in Commander Emily Shilling et al. Versus United States, allowing the policy to take effect even as legal challenges continue. Commander Emily Shilling, a decorated Navy aviator who has flown over 60 missions, is one of the plaintiffs. Civil rights groups argue that the administration's actions are rooted in bigotry, not national security. In a joint statement, Lambda Legal and the Human Rights Campaign Foundation condemned the decision as a devastating blow that, quote, has nothing to do with military readiness and everything to do with prejudice, end quote. Lambda Legal CEO Kevin Jennings told The Advocate, and I quote, "We lost a really important battle today, but the war is not over," end quote. Transgender advocates say the fight continues and they will not back down. Where to begin? This is such a tough story because the implications of this are hard. And we might, we all remember the first time that he tried to do this under his first presidency, right? That is, he made this kind of similar order through a tweet without any kind of plan, without any kind of understanding, and that's still and it was similarly rooted in bigotry and hatred and transphobia, of course, at the root of all this. So this is horrifying, and I'm excited to see how the community has quickly come together in support of our military veterans, right, who are trans and gender nonconforming and a number of other things, right? People who are vulnerable in a number of different spaces already in the military, hoping to find in the military and through the state a sense of security, right? And they're, of course, being dismissed, right? So as a historian, where this immediately goes to me is this is not new, right? That is, the idea of seeing trans and queer people as national threats is decades old and a kind of old playbook. That is, to see this as being anti-American, as somehow a kind of problem to the state, has never been rooted in any kind of reality except for the reality of hatred. And that is just really hard to swallow.
It's painful to me to see that LGBTQ plus people that's how big we are, want to defend the country that will not defend them.
Yeah.
And forever had to serve in silence. Right. And it's more difficult for trans people. If I'm gay, I can just say I'm not. But if you're trans, that's a little more difficult to hide. And anything you have to hide about yourself is soul killing anyway. So this is very painful, but it's also painful anytime any group of our country is demonized or dehumanized. And it's especially, I'm fixing to preach, it's especially devastating and demoralizing when this is on the watch of a draft-dodging, felonious, adjudicated rapist, deciding what's good and what's moral and what these people want to serve their country. He 7 times refused with some fake. So the whole thing, it's just hypocrisy on top of cruelty, on top of mendacity. I can't stand it.
Oof. Well said.
And it's very sad because the bravest thing that you can do is serve your country. And for these men and women who are serving our country day in and day out, for the country to turn against them.
It's ugly.
It's awful. It's very sad that we've come to a point in our country's history where, 10, 15, 100 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, what did we do?
Yeah.
This actually, you pointed on something in the beginning with the tweet that Donald Trump did. It kind of ignited a fire. Yeah. It ignited fear. And that's what this is all about. It's fear. How could anybody in their right mind, somebody that wants to defend this country, whether that they're trans, they're whatever it is, and how could you ban people from that? It's just maddening.
Yeah.
You know, they're patriots. These are patriots of our country, and this is how we're treating them.
Yeah.
From the Supreme Court, it's definitely rooted in bigotry. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's another ugly moment out of way too many in American history.
Unfortunately, absolutely. Well said, all of you. This is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing. Queer News Tonight.